maybe a day, part of a day, maybe a little stretch, where you just feel kind of discombobulated. Is that a word? I think I spelled it right. It's like you have so much on your mind, and maybe you are going in so many different directions. It's almost like you have moments where you're not even sure where you are and what you're supposed to do or want to do. You know, I think of many of you here this morning, what you've been through this week. It just seemed, I'm not sure if it's just age or whatever it is, but just a lot of you are going through some stuff. This morning I can't help but think of Cindy Johnson. I mean, Cindy has been here for years. She's a single mom, raised her 2 boys by herself, and they're now 21 and 23. And her parents are going through some tough health issues. For the past several years, she's battled cancer. She's had every possible kind of infusion that people invented. And some of you have been through that yourself. She's working full time, just got this job, benefits. And then her cancer goes to the brain. She has major surgery this week. She's in intensive care at Loyola. She got the word from her employer that he's not sure that he can hold her job long enough. Talk about discombobulation. How much can one person go through? And yet, somehow, some way, her cup will stay half full, just the way she is. Luckily, we raised some money for her on Friday night, which is a good thing. Yesterday morning, so I'm thinking about bingo, which was great on Friday night. I was thinking about, I had just visited Cindy and what she's going through. I was thinking about the lady we talked about last Sunday, the new employee of Gaylord, and we helped her out. I was thinking of how she moved her mom and her 6 younger siblings into her attic apartment after her dad died. Then I'm thinking about Jim and Jen, of course, and I'm trying to get to my kid's soccer game. And I walk into this funeral home to do a funeral, and I just thought to myself, Don, don't screw this one up. I walk into a room full of people that I don't even know, and I start the funeral feeling kind of discombobulated. And I always start my funerals with Ecclesiastes 3. And we laugh that, someone say, does Don know the Bible? Yeah, he knows Ecclesiastes 3, Psalm 23, and 1 Corinthians 13. That's about all Don knows. So I start reading Ecclesiastes 3. For everything there is a season. There's a time for every matter under heaven. And for some reason, those words just hit my guts. It's like the Lord would say, Don, or Cindy, or Don and Peggy and your family, or Jim and Jen. It's like he was talking to these little weenies on the soccer field. He's talking about the people that I'm doing the funeral for, the gentleman who's in the coffin behind me and his family in the front row, the kids and the grandkids. Thinking about Lori Nussel, he's talking to her at University of Chicago Hospital. He's talking to each one of you, whatever it is that you brought in with you this morning. For everything, there's a season. You got a season. I got a season. We all got a season. We have seasons of doubt and seasons of joy. Seasons of despair and seasons of victory. We have seasons of cluttered spirits and discombobulation. There are the seasons we want, and there are seasons we wish we never had to see. And yet it's in the middle of all the seasons that you and I live through. That's where God lives. That's where God's Spirit is. That's where God holds us up. That's where He loves us and nurtures us and speaks to us even if we can't hear His words. For everything, there is a season. And then at the end of the funeral, which became very spiritual, I hear taps in the background. And then these 2 proud Marines march up the middle aisle. And they take the flag off the coffin. And they hold it up, and then they fold it. I've seen that 500 times. And every time, it's rich, it's beautiful. It talks about what life in America are all about. The season of freedom, the season of respect, what each one of us in our country needs to stand for. And so this morning I walk into church a little less discombobulated, and for some reason I read the psalm right away. And I hear those words, be still and know that I am God. How about you? How about us? Don, can you just be still? Can you slow down and listen and hear those words from God? Be still and know that I am God. You're not God. You don't control stuff. I am God, not you. We don't have to be God. We can't be God. All we can be is who we are in the season where we live. It's interesting, today is Reformation Sunday, and that used to be, when I was younger, it used to be the day where you try to prove that Lutherans are better than Catholics, and they're trying to prove that Catholics are better than Lutherans. But we come here from so many different backgrounds now. I mean, Martin Luther, back in the 1500s, he was just a priest. He loved his church. Never wanted to leave his church. He always wanted to be a priest. He just wanted his church to be a little less discombobulated, a little purer, a little fresher. And the same today. The church sometimes is so busy with their rules and their hierarchy that we forget that the church is about the message of Jesus, who was born and died Jewish of all things. It's the message. It's not power, it's not robes, it's not a stole. It's Jesus' message. And speaking of seasons, you can feel it change, can't you? Yesterday it's getting a little cold and it's raining and they're talking about maybe a few snow flurries on Thanksgiving Day. You can feel it in the air. It's that season. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. And by the time Thanksgiving comes, my gosh, Christmas will be in the air. And many of you know what it's like. When you're not feeling well, when you're going through stuff, that Thanksgiving, Christmas, Advent season can be a toughie. And especially if you've lost somebody you love recently, you're probably not even looking forward to Thanksgiving or Christmas in some way because that person you love is not going to be there. But let me just offer this, and I don't have a whole lot to offer. Let me offer you this. If you have one of those days when your heart is heavy, when you have one of those days when those missing somebody juices are getting you, if you have one of those discombobulated kind of days where you're not sure what direction you're going, punch in this address on your thing in the car, 13350 South LaGrange Road. Come by here, even if it's during the day, and sit in silence in the sanctuary. And there's a couple Bibles back here, but you probably know it by heart now. Turn to Ecclesiastes 3 and listen to those words. For everything there is a season, there's a time for every matter under heaven. And then flick a few pages backward to Psalm 46 and read that one verse that can be a life changer. Just be still and know that I am God. I don't know about you, but I sometimes run around trying to find God. And then I realize God has already found me. Amen. If you're able to, please rise for the creed. It's on page 105.